Welcome one and all to BioTalk Live. Today is March 11th, and I am joined by none other than CaptainGeo, Guiness Walker, Yoshiedude, and Topeng is down here as well.
Yo.
He's a little outside of the frame. I'm seeing it in my other monitor.
Yeah, it's. I could actually extend this that way.
I have my little eyes of my avatar peeking over.
Yeah. There we go. All right, well, welcome one and all. Thanks everyone for being here. We'll start off by talking about just normal things, but like with the video that I posted. But obviously, it always ends up kind of like snowballing into just all sorts of conversations about Bionicle and everything. Let's see who's here. We got BioScroll97. Good to see you. Masked Duelist Phil. Listen again to our legend. Ichen Cosplay, good to see you. I wonder how your Kopaka cosplay is going. It sounded dope. Masked Duelist, who else? DXL Poet, Paraka Avac, good to see you as always. Umarok, great to see you. All right, what did people say?
All
right, yeah, everyone just looks like they're all having fun.
They're throwing out memes.
Yeah, it's a lot of memes in the chat. He's got more
Takuwa! What are you doing down here alone?
We're supposed to be at the Coley match.
No.
Alright, let me do this. Yeah, now we can get everyone pretty evenly. There we go. Alright, so...
That's better.
Everyone in the chat, thanks for being here. Oh, still learning the ways of the Discord, still learning the ways of the OBS.
You were doing well, young grasshopper.
Yeah, slowly but surely. Alright, actually I can move this down to here. Okay.
Yay, now everyone's on screen.
Yeah. Alright, so what's going on in the live chat? Thanks for viewing, guys. I think as we get the conversations going, we can kind of give it up to you guys to give us topics to talk about as well. Obviously, the first state of business. Oh, Duelist, thank you so much. Yeah. BrickCon videos. I was just live earlier with my friend Yoni. His name is Thrawn's Revenge or Thrawn's Terminal. He does a lot of like rebrickable like Legos, custom Legos that people will sponsor him for, or like he'll get commissioned to do, and it's kind of like been his thing for the last couple months. It's kind of like been his form of income, but also a hobby at the same time. So like we kind of talked about all things Lego and Lego Stars and stuff, so it was fun to do that. And honestly, I liked that people were tuning in, and some people checked out his Instagram and everything, so that was great, guys. Thank you for that. But to start the video today, we are talking about love. Is love canon in Bionicle? I don't know. What do you think, CaptainGeo?
Yes. Yes, it is.
It is definitely canon. For love to not be canon, you would have to make the 2000. You would have to make Mask of Light non-canon.
Hey, everybody's on.
You'd have to make Web of Shadows non-canon. You'd have to make Legends of Metronui non-canon.
I think Web of Shadows is easily. Web of Shadows is the most solid case. Because in Web of Shadows, they flat out mention marriage.
Really? Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
They flat out. Now I've been told.
Specifically.
I've been
also,
told.
like in Legends of Metronui, they have like the whole romantic thing. That's very obvious.
Yeah. Well, there's the implication with Mato and Nokama.
It's interesting.
I always thought
there are
Mato
some
was
people that are
simping
so
for
adamant
Nokama.
about it not being canon.
I mean, I've heard that they're considered like semi-canon. Like at least that's what Biosector 01 says.
I made an image of Kina
concerned.
and Matsui on the beach, and somebody flipped out over it.
there's always somebody who's gonna flip out over it. There's always those people.
Can we legally change Siddirak name? Can we legally change Siddirak's name to Simparak?
Yes, please. Make it happen.
Big question is Siddirak even a good villain? I never liked him.
Well, I think Siddirak's supposed to be a foil. He's not the main villain. He's the tertiary or secondary antagonist.
He's the object.
Rudaka.
I just hate how that one guy who did try to do Bionicle Revolution, Fenna.
Oh no, not Fenna. Oh,
I
God,
genuinely just hate how like the person genuinely likes Siddirak.
Like as a kid. Wait, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, did he think like Siddirak was right? Oh no.
Oh no, he thought Siddirak was a good character, and it's just like.
Well, if you mean good character as in like well written, yes. Good character as in like
not like
good on the good side. No.
I mean, if you look into that man's like complete edgelord. So.
Oh my god, yeah. Did you guys
But
hear about from like Tectonic's video on Fena? Like he was constantly mentioning like atheism and how he didn't like religion in general to like a very big Christian. It's like
I think it's probably best to keep religion out of the discussion.
yeah.
It's best to keep religion and politics out of this.
Yeah.
Because it always devolves into a shit show.
It always devolves into something that gets people into trouble, and we don't want that.
So it's
This is
interesting.
true.
Oh, don't want that.
So it's interesting. I do want to like, I guess we'll stir more into like Love is Canon. There are, it's interesting. Like within the community, there are still a lot of fans. It sounds like majority are like on kind of our side on this, but there are still a lot of fans that will fight for it not being canon. Where do you guys think like that sort of stems from? Because I mean, there's some people that it's like they say like the movies aren't canon, therefore blah blah blah, or like Greg has contradicted himself numerous times, but like has said it in the past. Where do you guys think it really like stems from? Because I would say there is a significant amount of people that are like super all just obsessed with kind of like getting on everyone's case about it.
Yeah.
People who can't deal with other people having opinions that differ from theirs, because
I guess, yeah.
Love is Canon is like there's clearly displayed emotions. It's sort of it comes down to a semantics argument at the end of the day on whether or not it's love. But there's no argument to be made whether or not there's emotion. Shut up, phone. Whether there's emotion in the actual scenes. There's clearly emotion. There's clearly affection. So that's like inarguable.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who are going to be like, oh well, you see, this isn't and this isn't, and it can't be canon because this reason, that reason. It's like, what is somebody thinking that there's love affect in your belief? Like, if it doesn't affect you, drop it. But I've noticed this, and again, I only came into the Bionicle community a lot. There's a lot of gatekeeping. There's a lot of people who like, no, it's got to be this way. It has to be this way. It has to be built this way. It has to be. This is how the story goes. Greg said this, and it's totally. Man,
I mean,
Greg, aka the George Lucas of Bionicle.
I mean, he kind of just created a bunch of universes for no point practically too. So like,
he didn't even create the universe. Like, I think people give. I'm not trying to shit on.
No,
Greg.
I'm not talking about like the Bionicle itself universe, but the when you get into like the kingdom stuff and all that fun, serial story stuff. I mean, yeah, comic books are cool, but like, time and a place.
It's all.
I don't know if you.
I know. I heard what Guinness was going on to though, which is like, it's you don't want to give like Greg any shade, but technically he wasn't the like originator.
If anyone's idea, it's Bob's.
Yeah.
Like Bob Thompson was the one who had the concept of the pills coming down and being the whole,
I thought that was Christian Faber.
Thing.
I thought that was Christian Faber as well.
Was it Faber?
Yeah,
that was Faber.
I thought it was Bob.
Because
Faber
was the one that had the brain cancer, and he had to take pills every day for that.
Yeah.
So I'm sure. I thought it was Faber.
I know for certain though. Like, so when I talked to Nathan First the last time a couple weeks ago, he said that like he didn't even know who Greg. When we said Greg Farsty, he was like, who?
No way.
We had to tell him.
Wait,
we had
really?
to tell him who Greg was. So there was
what?
an enormous
Is
amount.
Greg accredited in the films at all? Like, is he?
Wait a minute.
Don't think
Oh,
so.
they
I
didn't
don't
know
think so.
who Greg Farsty was.
He gets a special thanks at the end of Mask of Light.
Huh.
It's possible. It's possible the Creative Capers people would have known who he is. I don't think we mentioned.
I think.
But yeah, the composer did not know who he was.
I recently watched Mask of Light because I'm writing a review for it, and I don't know about you guys, but do you guys like watching credits?
Yeah, no, I do.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
I watch the credits
For that movie, because there's so many great voice actors, and it's like, ooh, I get to see Scott McNeil, greatest voice actor of all time. But still, at the end of the movie, they do credit Greg, but only as a special thanks.
Mm-hmm. And that's only in Mask of Light.
I'm not sure about the other ones because I have not gotten to their writing of their reviews yet.
My understanding though is that Greg basically, he did the comics and he did a lot of the novels following Hapka, her one
after
attempt.
I think Chronicles, he did everything. I think, right?
Yeah, after Hapka.
Yeah, but only written though. Like, so he did not have any involvement with the movie team at all. It sounds like.
And yeah, that's like the entire reason why he hates Web of Shadows.
Probably.
Or at least he hates. I think the only thing he hates, if I'm correct, is the fact that Matau wasn't the villain.
Really? He wanted Matau
Like,
to be the villain?
Well, not like I don't mean like villain. I mean like the one to turn evil, like Lekama.
I think that would have actually made more sense.
It
Yeah,
makes
that would have
me
made
like
It definitely
makes
would have.
sense.
Like,
This is all really
because Lekama's turn is
Matau being ugly would have been the motivation to actually work with Rudaka in the first place.
Also,
and
there's
because you'd
another
already
thing-
established Matau's like vanity, it would have
His
made more
insecurity.
sense. Yeah.
and that's why he was like very like adamant that like he did not like that movie. I'm not sure. I know he at least did not like that part. But whatever, I'm just a Legends of Metro Nui fan, to be honest.
Also, another
HQ
reason-
Bacon says Greg Farshty is 2/3 genius, 1/3 dude just trying not to lose control of his ever-growing, decades-long canon.
I wonder if that was a
True.
reason, like, they gave him the special thanks at the end because he stepped away, or in a way, maybe, like, during production was like, whatever, this is a movie, it's not my Bionicle. And I wonder if maybe that also does...
not by Bionicle.
Yeah, that all stems from how fans
For the
are
longest
split.
time, I thought the movies weren't even canon, to be honest.
It was ambiguous for a time because
They
of
were
the
and they weren't
novels.
at the same time. This brings back like the whole thing of love, right?
Yeah.
Like canonically speaking, Matoran don't experience the emotion of eros, the lustful or like sexually attracting love, but they feel agape and philos.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Totally.
So basically, just every Matoran is asexual.
Basically.
Way.
Yeah, I'm alright with that. That sounds cool.
Right?
I mean,
That's what's
that
kinda-
doesn't-
was
that
kinda-
doesn't
Did
mean
they or
love
did they
is
not
in-
say that
on
don't
canon.
Agori have actual sexual relationships?
They
Right.
do.
Well,
they
yeah,
do.
they are.
they're
Agori,
just like
Agori do.
Agori are mammalian, same with Clitorian.
That's
That is so
It's
weird.
kind of like it's kind of like the Transformers, how they were built by organic
it-
creatures, so they
At least
had
in
those
G1.
kinds of.
To be honest, when it comes to like Transformers, it kind of depends because it's like you have the original comics, which is like they are what is it?
I'm like
completely
talking about
sexual.
the cartoon in the '80s that
No,
yeah,
still,
but,
it kind of depends on. They always flip flop. You mean,
yeah.
you know,
I mean,
most-
Transformers canon is always shifting, but considering
Yeah.
like Transformers is still in production, like almost 40 years later.
And like, there's like 7,000 different canons happening at the same time.
yeah, like
The
Oh,
only
man, that's
true
G1
canon is the movie canon. You
G1
gotta follow the
canon
Michael
is
Bay
different.
movies.
Dude.
Transformers G1 canon is different from Armada canon, is different from Energon, is different from
I mean, that's
Animated,
nice,
is
whatever.
different from Prime, is different to the Bay movies. Like it's just
I I
It's
noticed
Then
so
that
you
even
got
malleable.
IDW, and then
It's
the
so
reboot of
malleable.
IDW.
like the Transformers canon is so malleable and it's like pick and choose your own adventure type of thing. So it's
But
like it doesn't even
I was
matter.
specifically talking about the Transformers, the show from the 1980s that everybody
The
loves.
Transformers
And,
movie.
That's what-
tolerate.
like,
yeah, I'm more of a
G1.
Beast Wars guy, to be honest.
Beast Wars was awesome, dude.
Never
I
was a
I was into
Transformers guy.
animated. I was into
Dang.
animated growing up.
That's fascinating. Though.
I mean,
Dude, yeah.
technically, I
Dude,
mean,
I grew up on like animated and Prime because I grew up in the heyday of the Hub Network. Do you guys know what the Hub Network was?
oh, of
I
course.
Dude, the Hub Network was awesome. For those of you who don't know what it is basically a joint venture between Discovery Family and Hasbro to
I
make
think at
their
the
own
time
like
it was
TV
Discovery
network.
Kids.
And Discovery Kids.
Did
and
anyone actually watch Discovery Kids? Because I know
Yeah,
I
I
watched
did.
it.
Discovery
I
Kids
watched
was
it.
around when I was a kid. Yeah, that's what I watched.
that was
I never heard
But
of this.
you know what?
basically, it would like host
I
all
remember-
of Hasbro's shows for like their different toy lines and cartoons, and they would do like reruns of old shows. And
It
not
sounds
only,
like it was just like after my time because I don't remember anything about this.
And another
I
thing
was
they did, which is
watching-
also really cool, is they did like reruns of like Alf and like Happy Days. So that's how I watched Alf. It's also I grew up with G1 because I watched the G1 cartoon reruns on the Hub Network. So,
I pirated it like I pirate anime.
dude,
Went on like I
There's no
went
need
on.
to
I think
pirate,
I went on.
G1 since it's available for free.
I went on like Anime Flavor back in like I think it was Anime Flavor. It was one of those sites like you remember back in like the heyday of like the anime pirating sites,
Yeah.
and they had
I
the
don't.
original Generation 1 Transformers, and that's how like for the most part I watched it for myself, and then I watched the entire Generation 1 canon up to Beast Machines, including the Japanese stuff.
Yo, nice.
Like
That's funny.
When it was still, when the hub was still Discovery Kids, I remember there being like that the Trading Spaces show, Mystery Hunters, and that one like ghost story show.
Yeah, I was actually what I wanted to talk about for a second is we started a hunt for the lost prehistoric planet episodes. I'm trying to. I'm not even joking. I probably would not be here if I didn't see those. And I'm trying to find the episodes after the dinosaurs because I have the dinosaur episodes on DVD, but I never made the stuff with like everything afterwards.
That's sad.
Wow.
Alright, what are people saying in the chat? This is for
Hub
Hookie
had
and
Ask
Maku.
Megatron. Wait, what?
Pookie and Maku.
You know what? Let's
Ask
not even go
Megatron.
into the Ask Megatron thing because that gets a little political.
I don't even know what that is.
Wait, Ask
You know what?
Megatron gets political? Is this
Yes,
like
it does.
Transformers
No,
politics?
No, real world politics. Let's not get into that.
E-Chain Cosplay
Wait, there
says...
was. Wait a minute. There was real world politics in Ask Megatron.
It was. It's a clip that's I think
Maybe not
aged
in...
kind of
There's
badly.
Ask Greg, which is funny.
What I mean is let's not go into that one because I know where that one leads to.
Dude, Megatron says a racial epithet on Ask Megatron.
That's crazy. I had no idea.
He gets canceled on Twitter.
It doesn't. At the time it wasn't political, but like watching it in the year of 2021, it's kind of political. I do not want to get into it right here and now.
I'm not gonna like get into it, but I want to actually see this.
Alright. Transformers. E-Chain Cosplay says, if love gives just another reason for someone to do what is right, to fulfill their duty, or to achieve their destiny, then I believe that is an important thing the universe should exist in this universe. Totally. That was kind of like my thesis statement at the end there.
That's kind of like what I was saying earlier.
Exactly.
Like the Matoran species do not feel Eros, but they feel Agape and Phylos.
And Masked Duelist says, to be fair, Matau should have been a villain because he's that big of a jerk. Masked Duelist says, the only reason Vakama turned evil is he starts representing the other tough for treating him like crap. I can see that, definitely. I mean, he's also, like, the main character of, like, the Toa Metro.
Another thing for, like, Matau is that, like, he was making a lot of, I guess, sexual comments towards Nokama.
Right.
With,
Romantic.
like, it would, like, getting compliments from Rudaka the same way that she was complimenting Nokama, Matau would probably be really, really excited about that.
Which would mean it would make even more sense for Matau to have gone bad instead of Akama.
Yeah.
Because
This presents a problem.
like-
Go ahead,
What-
Gio.
what were you
Finish your
saying?
thought.
So, it would have made sense for Matau to turn bad because, like, not only is his motivation there, but Rudaka's manipulation would have been a bit more valid.
True.
You know what I mean?
I will say the end scene where Matau has to, like, kind of bring Vakama back, it's kind
That
of...
was, like, out of nowhere.
It's a good scene,
It's a
but
good
like
scene because he was giving Vakama so much shit, and it's like he's the leader that he has to realize they need, and so in a way has to kind of like deal with his own issues there. I really like that moment, honestly.
I think it would have worked. I think it would have worked the same way, reverse.
Yeah,
Honestly,
maybe, yeah.
With Vakama saving
Yeah,
Matau.
you know what? I'm
Yeah,
gonna
but I
say-
feel like it would have made more sense for their characters if it was, like...
That's actually an interesting topic.
I'm gonna say that is the I prefer Legend Reborn to Web of Shadows.
No way.
That's
To
a
be honest,
controversial
for me,
opinion.
Legend Reborn it's just a lot of like for me it's
Unpopular
like
opinion.
so much
No, I hear it.
like wasted
There's a-
potential. I think that's what I love about that movie.
Can I confirm a suspicion here? Do you mind telling me how old you are?
17.
Okay, as
That
I
makes
thought.
sense.
That makes sense. So this is, and this may be a hot take.
But
because
here's
I
the
think-
thing. Actually, I grew up with the original 3 just because they were free on YouTube, you know, in parts.
Yeah.
But I
No,
think
all
what I'm
three of
getting
them
at
are
is
on YouTube entirety. So.
nostalgia is always underestimated in how powerful it is as a factor. Because as much as I love Bionicle, I would be remiss to say that a huge factor in my continued enjoyment of the stories is the age that I was when I first started consuming them.
Right.
It has a
Yeah.
very, very profound impact. I mean, the things that you grow up with, the the things that you consume during your formative years have a profound impact on the things that you'll enjoy in your early 20s and
This
stuff.
is true, which is why I can understand how like you like Legend Reborn, because
Exactly.
that was like your first physical copy movie.
I didn't even get a physical. I only got it like to be honest, I think in like 2016 I got it physically.
Oh, but did you see it on like TV or on YouTube when I illegally uploaded it? The moment I found a copy and got copy striked.
1 second.
That happened. There was a small moment on my YouTube channel.
Wait,
where
you got copy striked for uploading the Bionicle movie?
It hadn't even come out like in the United States on DVD yet, but someone internationally somewhere had ripped an HD copy of it on like torrent. This is like in the early days, like 2009 of like online pirating, and it was LiveWire or something, but I downloaded the whole movie and uploaded the whole. I uploaded the whole movie to YouTube, and I don't know what I was thinking. And it was up for maybe an hour or two, the entire film, and people were watching it, and fans of mine were watching it, and then immediately got taken down.
That's especially since that was like
the Broly movie
in like 2009. That was like the time when copyright holders were like the most brutal about like
days of Viacom versus YouTube.
Yeah,
it's nuts.
Yeah, the days of Viacom versus YouTube and just like generally
corporations. I still can't believe I did that, and I can't believe my channel was allowed to kind of get away. Like that was wild.
Yeah,
that
man, was.
You're like the guy who uploaded the Broly movie. Like I think where that movie came out.
And it's like Universal Studios technically owned it. I don't know what I was thinking, dude.
Yeah.
You were in what, middle school, high school?
I was in 8th grade.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you probably weren't thinking. You were in 8th grade.
Oh man.
Yeah.
You were. I could assume that you were thinking like, hey, this isn't in the U.S. I should probably put this on YouTube for everybody to see. And then you don't know how copyright laws work.
Yeah. I also was in the oh, this is gonna blow up and break the internet sort of mindset too.
Hot take.
You're trying to get famous.
I'm gonna preface this with I and nobody here. I speak for nobody but myself, and I do not endorse that you steal. But as a artist myself, whose content is available on a number of paid platforms as well as for free on YouTube. I have been of the opinion and remain of the opinion that content is meant to be experienced, and that pay the people who make the content when and if you can, and if you have the ability to pay them and you don't, then you're shitty. But if you want to experience something and you pirate it, it's not. Especially, I mean, Creative Capers themselves said in not so many words that it doesn't bother them as they appreciate is people enjoying the thing that they make. They would like you to give them money, obviously. Mm-hmm. They don't want to take away their money. But, art is meant to be appreciated. And if there's a barrier, if art is not going to be appreciated simply because it can't be afforded, that shouldn't be a barrier.
I think Creative Capers also reasoning specifically towards like their movies is you can't find them to rent on anywhere online or buy online. It's
I think Legend Reborn is the only one. Yeah, because Legend Reborn you can find on YouTube,
and
but you can't
find
it.
Made by them.
As I said, Legend Reborn, it was still being sold in like 2015 or 16.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I actually.
It was like 16 when Legend Reborn.
Fun fact about 2016 and Legend Reborn. During that time, I couldn't find a good rip of Legend Reborn on YouTube. So I used the ancient Netflix mail service to get the DVD of Legend Reborn to watch it.
That's wild they had it. That's wild that they would have had it. Oh my god.
Yeah. If you haven't seen it already, by the way.
I knew it because they had it at one point on actual Netflix. But then it got removed.
If you guys aren't already following, follow Creative Capers on Instagram. They recently posted they said they were gonna.
Capers has an active Instagram?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they just recently posted the little animation test they did that got them the gig to make the Bionicle movies, and it's like Liwa. It's a little creepy, honestly, but it's really cool. It's like Liwa doing the fucking from what's it called?
Dirty Harry.
Yeah,
Dirty Harry. Yeah.
I saw that one too.
Oh, it's that one. Like, I think I know that one.
Fire 5 shots or 6. You gotta ask yourself one question: do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk? And everything. It's pretty weird.
Fun fact: I just found out that my senior year, a freshman at my college, I think his dad or his uncle is the director of the Bionicle movies, Molina or whatever. What's his name? David Molina. I had no idea, but like he was on set of my senior thesis film, and like we were kind of close, and like we definitely have a bunch of mutual friends. It's like this whole time I had no idea until I checked Creative Caper's Facebook, and I saw that this guy I went to school with was following it, and then I went to his photos and I saw him in photos with the directors of the Mask of Light and all those movies. So I'm trying to pull that connection soon at some point, because that was wild. I was like blown away. I like had no idea. Like I could totally like interview the guy if I wanted to, honestly. Especially if it's his
That'd be
dad.
really cool. Dude, that would be a great thing for like an episode of BioTalk.
No doubt, of course. Yeah, I like.
Also,
I could
if I'm
not
gonna
believe
say,
that. But small world, you know, California.
We could
Wow.
ask them their opinion
The
on
internet
Canon.
in and of itself is a small world, just like the real world of your city is a small world. The internet is like a little city. You run into people in the same neighborhoods. Like, hey, what are the odds?
Yeah. Anyways, that was wild. Okay, what are people saying in the chat? Let's see. Web of Shadows had the janitor Vizorok, says Umarak. It
Dude.
does.
Yeah,
With the,
like
he's
a
like
2
moving the
second
little
scene.
floor cleaner.
Dude, the
World
janitor
of
is
character
rad.
film.
That's just them having fun, you know? That's amazing.
Dude, that was the best character from the 2005 story.
I wonder where he's at now.
Dude, Rudaka
Yeah.
simps for the janitor Vizorok.
Yeah, right?
That's how much of a Chad he is.
The Legend Reborn is on YouTube, but you have to pay like $15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like
to
it's
buy
like-
it, but
it's
if you
on, like,
want to rent
Amazon
it,
too.
you can pay $4 for it.
That's really expensive though.
It's a lot of
still.
money to pay to
I
watch
know.
that.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
What?
Especially because Legend Reborn is like arguably the least good of them.
Okay,
Funny
here's
enough, when I looked up the
Let's
Legend
see.
Reborn, it showed up like Hammerfall, like the power metal band.
Dude.
Aces asks, who's your favorite Paraka? You guys can go first.
I would have to say Thok.
Zach 10 all the way. He's the coolest.
Yeah, Zach 10 probably for me too.
Between
I'd have
Zaktan
to
and
say
Hakan.
He's on.
Is it just me, but I don't really like considering Vison a member of the Paraka?
He's not technically.
He wasn't a member of a Praka, he was just a Skakti.
Right?
Ah, yeah, right.
Half Skakti. He was a half Skakti.
Half
Yeah, half
Skakti.
Skakti. But he
Oh,
was
then-
at 0 point a member of the Paraka. He was just sort of there, and then he left.
Outta there.
He was created and then he betrayed the
Bionicle,
Paraka
like-
immediately.
He's
'Cause, like,
Bionicle.
all the marketing wanted to call him, like, the 7th Paraka, but, like, he really never was in the story.
He
Yeah.
was an accident though, wasn't he? Like that's the whole thing.
I mean,
Well, I
yeah,
wanna-
but, like,
What did Vison look like before he got the Mask of Life, but after he'd been, separated from Vezok?
There's images of it in the comics, I think.
Is there?
Yeah, from what I remember. I'm sure you
Like,
can
did he just
find
look
it.
He
like
looked not
Bezok,
that
like-
different.
Yeah, he didn't look that different. He just looked kind of like skinnier.
Just like a skinnier Vezok?
Yeah, like really like bare bones. Cause
I
that's the
mean, to be
idea.
honest,
I mean,
I
isn't
kind of am-
Vazon already just skinny Vazon?
Yeah. What an interesting idea.
I mean, I kind of always imagine that same thing when he's fused with the his Olmec. I just
Yeah.
kind of imagine that, like, he never changed really, but I guess that's just more of a how I always kind of thought of it.
Okay. Bakama is a relatable character. Dry Culpre Ray says, it makes sense so that Matao saying he believes in Vakama being able to lead them and make the correct decisions for the group that allows Vakama to realize that he had friends and that they had to work together to win. I can relate to this situation being a manager at a grocery store for a while. Well, yeah, I mean, I can kind of see that as well. Like, I see that side of it for sure. E Chang says I bought
Wait,
the Legend
Draki
Reborn
Yopi-
for $2. Wow.
Dude.
Faki.
Yeah.
Drakiopire says, I really wished I owned all the first 3 Bionicle movies. I I have two copies of the Legend Reborn, and I wish I made more movies after that.
You
But
can.
I have original
You
books.
can you can buy on Amazon. I saw like a Mask of Light DVD for like $30, brand new, sealed. So you actually can.
The reason I brought that up is because I bought the Mask of Light movie on DVD in like 2012. That's how I got into Bionicle. And the thing is, I don't know where it is. I'm gonna go downstairs and see if I can find it.
My folks still have.
If
all
I
the
can't,
movies.
I'm going to be
I still have all
distraught.
of them.
I'll be right
I
back.
probably would have them at my house, but I haven't thought to look.
I like
I
had
never
my
like threw them out or
parents have
anything.
them.
I had my
My parents
mom
has them.
like make a pact that anything with the words Bionicle on it was saved. I think I still even have my old Bionicle shoes. Definitely still have everything.
My parents have all 4 Bionicle movies in their like little DVD drawer. At home.
It's so funny.
I guess my dad probably would if I asked him.
Man, I
ask him.
think I just have the case for Web of Shadows.
I have 2 copies of The Legend Reborn and a broken VHS of Mask of Light.
2 copies. Why does everyone have 2 copies of Legend Reborn?
I only had 1.
I think I had the Blu-ray, if I'm not mistaken. I bought.
I don't
There's
know
a
if I
Blu-ray?
owned it.
I think there was a Blu-ray. Because that was at that age, I was into like collecting Blu-rays because I was like, oh, you know, they're better than DVDs or whatever. I feel like it wouldn't look that much different, you know.
Masked Duelist Phil says,
I mean-
to be fair, Legend Reborn, all the characters look exactly like their toy counterparts.
I
Yeah,
feel
that
like
makes
we've
sense
talked
from a
about this
marketing
before,
standpoint.
yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense from a marketing standpoint, but from a lore standpoint, it makes no sense at all. Because Glatorian
Cares
and
about the
Agori
lore
are supposed
anyways.
to be organics. Glatorian and Agori are supposed to be like reverse of
Yeah.
the foreign species.
If anything, they
They
should
are
have looked
organic
more.
beings with they are organic beings with metal parts added on,
Right.
whereas the Matoran species are the other way around.
And there you go
I
again
mean-
with like Greg Farshey probably really wasn't in close contact with them at all when it came to making.
But
the
I think
movie.
he wrote the scripts, right? I know he
Not
at
for
least wrote
Legend
the,
Reborn. I don't think
he
he
didn't
was
write
involved
I know
with
for
that.
a
Well,
fact he
Write
wrote
any
the
of the
script for
movies.
the
It's too
fifth
dumbed
movie.
down to have Greg's touch on it.
That's true. He wouldn't have made that. I don't think he would have made that film.
The lore.
Yeah.
I don't think he did any of them. No, if that's what we were saying is
But he
was-
definitely did the what was supposed to be the 5th movie.
he like had an idea.
He wrote a I think a script, but by that point it was too late.
Oh really?
What a waste.
And if I'm correct, it was pretty much going to be the 2010 story, which
I'd say The
It was
Legend
the,
Reborn
uh,
is still my favorite of the Bionicle films, simply because
Okay.
of the meme material.
but I was just saying, like,
Papa
the
Nui.
at least from what I know about the 5th movie, it was supposed to follow Mon Nui and friends fighting the elemental lords inside the maze or something. I don't really know.
Yeah, I mean there were hints at that in the Legend Reborn.
And I guess 2011 was supposed to be, I think, when we got the dinosaurs and stuff.
Yeah, it was gonna be.
It
Cool.
was supposed to go on until 2020. So
Yeah, isn't that wild? Like that was his
it
whole
was
idea.
Bionicle was supposed to span like 20 years.
Yeah. Which
Man,
is kind of
I-
insane up to plan that for like a kid.
and Game of Thrones was supposed to have 14 seasons.
Yeah. This is true.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the problem when like they cut stuff so short.
It happens a
Like,
lot.
Well, no,
I-
it's the same problem that everything revolves around.
Yeah, a
It's
lot
the
of-
what is the root of all evil?
Money.
The love of money.
There you go.
there.
It's not money in and of itself, it's the love of money that is the root
I'd
to
say-
all evil.
For me personally, I think like I just wouldn't have minded had like a more of expanded like when it came to like the 2009 story, because I feel like it's just such a good concept of okay, you spent all this time in like this one place, and now the villains won, and now you have to follow a new group of heroes as they, you know, the ultimate goal is to fight, you know, this new big bad, the original big bad who has won. I mean, I just think that's a great concept.
I think the mystery was the most integral part of the success that G1 had.
Yeah,
the-
this is true.
I think about how like I was a Bionicle fan from the very beginning, but as I've said before, I didn't have access to the internet until a few years later. I didn't know every single piece of story, so the bits that I got were from the instruction booklets, the occasional comic if I got it. So by the time I got to like 2003 and I'd seen the movie, there was already like this mysterious element, like, ooh, what is this? So much was unexplained, and the more it's a problem with a lot of media. The more you explain shit, the less interesting it becomes.
Yeah, I think it was the same situation with me and a lot of other people. It's like as a kid, I didn't really care about the story that much. I just wanted to play with the toys and make up my own stories, you know?
Exactly.
Because that's like what most of Lego was all about, right? So, like as an adult, coming back to like read the stories from like the media that I had, and thankfully the Biomedia Project has all of it just in an archive, like, and it has a reading order too, so you can get absolutely everything out of it.
Oh, then you
So-
got that Biological Chronicle PDF.
Yeah, and we also have multiple lectures on YouTube, just summarizing everything, and it still takes at least an hour to do that. I was on VR chat a few nights ago, and it took me 2 hours just to remember everything that happened in the Bionicle story off the top of my head.
Yeah, it's
I always kind of leave out the first half of 2003.
Little bits. That's what happened.
I only know the main story. There's like a million side stories that I'm having to learn through the project that I'm working on. So it's there's an absolute.
A lot of the time, you really don't need the Borak call. You don't need 2005. You don't really need 2009 to tell a coherent story. You know.
I'd say 2009. If there was more to it, it
Yeah.
would have been like.
I think what the idea was that was the launch point for like they went deep into the stories and histories and characters of Aquamagna, and I think their plan was with 2009 to now go into the stories and characters of Baramagna and then unify them, but well, we know how that worked.
That's
out.
what it looked like it was setting up.
Because I still think 2009 was a great setup year. The problem was that nobody at Lego wanted to go through with it, and I think by that point,
and the sales reflected that too.
Because truthfully, I think if they might have kept going on, it might have gotten a little bit better because kids were actually like, I know for a fact, kids at that point, because I was there, were definitely starting to look at 2009. I don't think any kid actually remembered, like at least my age, knew about like 2008. But fresh reboot, all new characters. I think it was good. The problem is I don't think Lego possibly marketed it as good as they did Generation 1.
Or they could have.
The original. I meant
about the original first 8 years, right?
Yeah. Well, first 3 more or less, I'd say.
Okay. So
I think those were like the golden era of marketing.
Yeah, like 2009. It looks like definitely for sure that it was supposed to be a setup year for everything. They were going to add Malum into the case somehow. I don't know how. He was like in there for a couple mini stories, and then he just wasn't there anymore. Hey, Constorm Entertainment, how you doing? I'm just reading the chat here. So let's see. Like 2009.
Other BioTube is here.
2009, I feel like could have been a good year, but Lego, as you said before, Yoshi, Lego didn't want to work on it, and I'm believing that the sales for the toys were also waning at that point.
They were.
The sales were, but I think it definitely could have been a very I think if they didn't put enough what they should have put into it, and that's I think the problem is that after the original I think Lego when it came to Bionicle, marketing was amazing originally, but by 2009, Lego kind of lost the concept of marketing long ago.
They were kind of half-assing it.
Bionicle as a toy line is not and was not, unfortunately, an indie band. An indie band can give no fucks and release an album after album of whatever they wanted to make, bringing it back to the art analogy. But a toy line telling an epic story has to, at the end of the day, sell toys. And if it's not selling enough toys, the story can be as good as
toys. Then you're done.
I mean, I'd still arguably say that I'd say the problem was that I think Lego became too financially stable at the same time, and I think that's also why they tried
Yeah,
to
they
stay
didn't
away
need
from
it.
Bionicle.
They didn't need it anymore.
Because
Bionicle
truthfully,
was. Yeah.
I didn't get into Bionicle until 2010 when I got a whole bucket of Bionicle parts, and that's practically where my entire collection sprang from. Me rebuilding old sets and stuff. And so, for me, I remember, like, truthfully, 2009, I was super nostalgic. I'm super nostalgic for Power Miners. That's
like the orange and the lime green.
Yeah, those sets. I didn't even have a lot of them, but I am extremely nostalgic for them. I think that and Atlantis, those were like the two things that like
those
I
two
remember
themes
going
are
on.
running on like 10 years old now, so
Those are the things that really like put me into the Lego kind of sphere.
I wonder where Zach went. He's just gone.
I mean,
he vanished. Vanished.
There was
without a
something wrong
trace.
with my computer for a bit.
Maybe.
I mean, because it's crazy because like I was born when like it was only 2003, so it's like I couldn't experience the golden years like everyone else did.
Yeah, that's actually kind of fascinating. I think getting like an opinion from someone like you who, they were 7. You were like 7 years old or so, like when you got into Bionicle, and yet it had just pretty much ended. And I actually would say that you guys are totally right. That also like they didn't need Bionicle as much anymore. Bionicle, I think its main pull, and Guinness said this, and it's 100% I think correct, was that in those first 2-3 years, like there's just so much mystery involved. It is literally like everything is like you're discovering new things, and there's like hints of previous civilization. They have old tech mixed with like this kind of like barbaric like island living tribal. I just think that whole aspect was the
perfect
factor.
hook.
And it pulls you in, and with the music and everything. I think like that is actually like the number one thing that made Bionicle sort of stand out, was really a lot of that, just that pure mystery and all, like sort of like uncovering of things. Because you'd go to the Bionicle website and like just the way they'd phrase the character bios and the island and everything still had this sort of intrinsic value to it.
Absolutely everything about the presentation of early Bionicle was mysterious, and it lured you into this world. I think for me, the sound that defines Bionicle. Everybody knows the those classic animations from 2001 of each of the Toamata. That little sound that plays right at the beginning before the Bionicle logo. That ooh.
Yeah.
There's the wind and the sound of that distant choir. That for me is what Bionicle is.
Dude,
it is
totally.
this incredibly inviting.
It gives you just enough to get interested, but still, when it's done, it leaves you wanting more.
Yeah, so cool. And I think the thing that, not to take away from it, but the thing that slowly lost my interest with Bionicle, because I kind of fell out and then came back, and I've tried to learn the whole story as it goes now as an adult. But I think as the years went on, not only as I grew up, but as more and more was explained, and I knew and I understood more and more about the world, the less I cared, because now I understood. And the mystery was retained, but up to a certain point, eventually, when you know who Matanui is, it's like, that was really cool. Okay, now I know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, totally. I agree.
I mean, that also brings up another point of mine when it comes to like 2009. I also like the idea that possibly it was going to focus on more of a set amount of characters.
Like it was gonna
for like the next 10 years. Look at Ninjago, extremely successful with how they did it. And that was what Bionicle was going to do, and that's the worst thing, is that they weren't able to do that.
And I will say, like, because when I interviewed my friend about watching The Mask of Light for the first time, he brought up the point where he was very much into those first couple of years, Tahu, Gali, Kopaka, like these kind of characters he knew. But because it moved on to the Toa Metru, and we know, like, it's the Turaga. He wasn't reading all the comics, and then, like, it goes to the Anika. We know they're the Matoran from Matanui Online Game and a couple of the other, materials. But for, like, very much casual fans, one of the problems, I think, is that the characters and villains would change every 2 years, every couple years. And for anyone outside of the kind of like hardcore fans who were reading the books, reading the comics, it definitely alienated people. And I can hear what Yoshi is saying, that like it sounds like their plan was for 2009 moving into 2010 and even 11, it was still going to be Akar and Kinu all with like Matanui and kind of like still maintain those main characters, which is probably kind of exactly is kind of what they implemented in Ninjago.
It seems to me the series had Star Wars sequel trilogy itis, which is to say there was I think that's the right thing I'm thinking of. Where there's a bunch of material that you're expected to know going in, and if you didn't read any of that material, or you know, it's not the sequels I'm thinking of. It's all the like the side films, stuff like that. It's like there's all this stuff that if you don't know, you know, you didn't read this movie or this comic. Fucking, it's not Star Wars. I'm thinking of Halo. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Halo. Halo 5. I don't know why I was thinking of Star Wars. Halo 5, where like the story just jumps in, you have no idea what's going on, and if you don't read this comic and that novel, you won't even know where the story is going. And Bionicle, that problem existed in 2001, and then it got worse in 2002, and it got worse every single year after that, because every year the story got thicker. And if you weren't following every single piece of media, every book, every comic, because it was spread across multiple, then you wouldn't have the full story, and you would be missing pieces and not know what's going on.
I think that's why I'd argue that 2008 is kind of a bad year for like story-wise, in my opinion, because there's so much going on, and it's so complex that it kind of like lost the charm personally for me. Even though there's like some great sets, like personally, I love the almost all the Makuta, the Toa were all the Toa. You know, need to say any more?
Well, my thing about that with like the story thing is, it can be pretty complicated, but like the movies for those three movies, they helped like simplify things, so that all these like you didn't have to read 79 different serials to get like the basic story, and you could just sort of like if you just saw like 2000 Legend of Metru Nui, Mask of Light, and Web of Shadows, you got a pretty okay idea of what was happening.
Yeah, yet there was
still a
bunch of mystery involved. You
know? In fact, it was perfect. It was perfect because the movies would leave you with just enough missing that you still had to fill in gaps.
But the thing is, like, as the movies went away at exactly the wrong time, because that's when the story started getting more complex, and it needed something like the movies to simplify things 100%. A little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
MCU,
you know what?
Like when the Bionicle movies stopped, the MCU was just getting started.
Right.
That's true. Yeah.
So Lego immensely dropped the ball on this type of stuff. You know. Because, like, it was, like, as soon as 2005 ended, the very next year, Iron Man came out.
Oh, yeah.
I think Topeng really solidified in my head just now that the movies served as a thread that kept... Because, like, there's no coincidence, or it is no coincidence that I had the most of my sets from 2003, 4, and 5.
Yeah.
It's no coincidence. Because that was the year of the story that I didn't have to go and read it. Like, there would be all this extra stuff that if I wanted to, I could go and dig deeper and find extra mystery. But I didn't have to. I could just watch the movie and get the main story. And then 2006 rolls around, and I played the video game, and that gave me a weird understanding of the story. And I was like, is this the story? And I had to go look into it, and I got little bits and pieces, and it was still scattered. And then 2007 happens, and there was no game, no movie. Yeah, and I just was like, I don't have Lego Magazine anymore.
That's why I continue to think that Lego seriously dropped the ball on the movie stuff. Because, like, as soon as the Bionicle movies stopped, the MCU was getting started up. And I think Lego would have made so much money if they just kept making movies once a year.
Yeah, and like, imagine me were going out of their way. Because I was just so hardcore about it, and I knew Bionicle novels were around. I was going to my local Barnes & Noble, Borders, wherever you would go. And I was going and making sure, like, every week when I was going to, like, the mall next door, I would be checking the shelves for the next Bionicle book and always picking them up. That was really, for me, what did it, especially post, like, 2004, was getting those novels, because that was where everything was. You know, outside of the novels, even the comics barely touched anything. The games definitely didn't, you know?
I mean, everyone's different. Everyone's going to want to have a different medium to get the story. Right. Most people like to read books. That's perfectly fine. But unlike you, like, I was one of the kids that, like, I wanted movies every year. And I was sad that we didn't get a movie for for like 2006, 2007.
It was
2008.
dumbfounding back then as a kid because
That
we didn't know.
reminds
We
me
didn't
of,
know where it went.
That reminds me of something that's like really strange when you think about it. So Bionicle was originally developed more as to get kind of, more wild kids, right? At least I think that's what's in Brick by Brick. More kids that, because let's be honest, the kids who played with Lego were probably like, nerds back then, right?
Oh yeah.
They're not,
Yeah.
But like Bionicle was supposed to capture kind of,
It was
the kids
weird,
like
it was
action
like the
movies and
weirder
stuff.
aspect too. It was like the sort of like, because Lego, it's still very human. Bionicle was created almost in a way to really like garner to
But as
an
I said,
audience that was very.
if I'm correct, Bionicle was focus tested for kids that were, wild and stuff.
I don't know.
Why
it's a
would-
whole
I've
deal.
never heard
I've never heard
If I'm
that.
correct.
Yeah, I've never heard that.
Yeah, if I'm correct, they even coined the term the Bionicle child.
That's
that
so
stuff, right?
funny though. That's like really fascinating.
The Bionicle child.
There's
And so
a
if I'm
whole
correct,
psychological
Tootie,
study.
the Bionic Man.
And so, yeah. And so when you really think about it, why would a wild kid read books?
Yeah.
No, I was.
Yeah, that doesn't
very-
make
I was
any
everything,
sense.
I guess I was into.
You know what?
everything.
You just kind of had
That's
to pray
one of
to
the
God
reasons that another. Oh, never mind.
No, you can go.
Well, I
kinda
think
the
the multiple
kids
medium
like the
formats
sets.
was a way to reach out to all kinds of kids, to reach
Yeah.
out to kids like Zach, to reach out to kids like Yoshi, to reach out to kids like Geo and me. It was they touched every base they could. Their tendrils stretched as far as
Except
their
for like
their
TV
reach allowed
shows.
it. But back then that wasn't the hot thing.
No,
It wasn't the
yeah.
hot shit to have a streaming service television show back
I'm
then.
not even
That's
talking about
funny.
streaming services. I'm
Or
talking
just,
about like
or
a
just
show like
even have like a Lego show. Like
You have
that
to think
really
back to
only kicked
2001.
off with the Ninjago.
2001
Yeah, and
TV was like a joke. It made
Yeah,
you
and,
TV,
like,
television,
TV, like,
daytime
I-
television,
like,
literally the phrase daytime television was a joke.
Yeah,
It was a joke in and of itself. Daytime television.
They hoped to God that like maybe their movies would get onto, and they eventually did to like Cartoon Network. I think was the main one that would like.
Yeah.
put on the
Cartoon Network.
Bionicle
I know
movie.
Toon, Disney.
And another
and,
thing
you know
was
they
like,
actually got on all three, if I'm correct.
Yeah,
another thing was
three of
that
the big
like
ones.
doing
Different places in the
CGI
world.
like for a TV show was
Insanely expensive.
nowhere near as
That
like
didn't happen. Yeah, it was
was
very
as
so
like
expensive.
as like useful as it was back then.
You,
Because like
maybe
right
had,
now
like, Jimmy
CGI
Neutron.
is usually
yeah,
the
like
way to
or like
go.
reboot. That was like the most you got.
I mean, I was gonna say Beast Wars because I'm a huge Beast Wars fan over here.
I mean,
animation
yeah, but-
was incredibly expensive. It was incredibly tedious. It remains incredibly expensive and incredibly tedious. But think about exponentially increase that by 10 or 20, and you go back 20 years. It was
Yeah.
So
But
The
To
thing is,
do-
like Beast Wars, the animation was the only thing to sell the toys, but Lego had like Lego Magazine, the games, like
Yeah,
a bunch
yeah,
of
yeah.
other
I'll
supplementary
see you
material, and like
Hell,
they
I
was
only
see you
had
later.
sales
Say,
at the movies. So like they probably wouldn't see a TV show as a worthwhile investment, especially since like animation and like animation capabilities and the people who are skilled enough to make good 3D animation or like regular animation just weren't as available at the time.
So does anybody know like an actual answer of why they stopped making the movies? Besides like, oh, it was costing money or like I don't know.
it really comes down to
When-
being that simple. When I talked to creative capers, they were like,
You know what?
Lego didn't have the money or the interest to keep it coming because the sales
One
weren't
thing
reflecting what they
You also
wanted.
got to remember is that in 2004, that was the big year when like everything changed for Lego. I think 2004, 2005, and that's the year where like all the molds got practically destroyed.
2000
Basically, with Mask of Light,
Wait, what happened with the molds?
From
With 2004.
yeah, it was like 2004, 2005 ish. Pretty much, they got a new CEO who practically went in and like completely changed the way Lego works as a company, for better or for worse. Depending on if you're a guy who likes parts, probably it's probably for the worse. But I mean, business wise, I think probably for the better.
I don't totally
At least,
know about all that, but I'm not saying you're wrong. and
So
maybe you're right,
it was probably for like a cost saving move, even though
With
the
the-
only
with
thing
the-
that sold was Bionicle back then.
Yeah.
with the movies, I got the impression from Terry and Sue that like at the beginning with Mask of Light, Bionicle or Lego really wanted them to use this as a promotional tool, And then with each subsequent movie, they gave the team more creative freedom because they cared less. And by the third movie's release, they just didn't care enough to do a fourth movie. They were giving less and less oversight and just being like, okay, yeah, we'll do the movie because I guess we decided that movies are going to be a thing.
That's so.
And then eventually, just like it's not happening anymore.
Wow.
Yeah.
That makes the most sense though, and I mean you would know it's because you've had direct contact with them about it. Yeah, I mean.
And they probably didn't see like
makes
too
sense.
much of a reason to do movies for another few years since 2006, 2007, 2008 were some of like Lego's like Bionicle's like best-selling years.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm gonna shill it one more time because it's everybody's stream. If you haven't already, follow Creative Capers because there's another chance to meet them. They're gonna be doing something new. Follow Nathan first as well because last time we talked to them, they said they're gonna be doing like another launch. With this time, more people are gonna be open to it. So if you follow the thing and click the things, you might get in and get a chance to meet the directors of the Bionicle movie. So.
I just want to
Nice.
become a millionaire and then toss money their way and say, make 2006,
Yeah.
2007, 2008. We'll do it under the table.
That's
then
what we
release
need.
them, and we'll deal with the lawsuit from Lego later.
We need to
you know-
find the richest Bionicle fan. We need to find them, and we need to basically, like, short of threaten their life, we need to be like, listen, it's happening, okay?
Or even better,
Go on Toonami at one point.
What's
Construct,
that?
turn up your mic a little bit. We're having trouble hearing you.
I'm currently on my phone right now, so I don't know if that's an option.
Oh, that's okay. I can kind of hear you.
I mean,
we can
like,
also just
back
like
on
turn
that-
up his
back on
audio
that
through
subject.
Discord.
Yeah.
Like right click on his
Constorm.
thing and turn up user bot.
Yeah, go ahead and say what you were gonna say.
Do you guys remember that the Bionicle movies were aired on Toonami? Or
Yeah.
do
They were at one point, yeah.
I remember
were.
they would do
Yeah.
set
Yeah, that's,
giveaways.
I was about to say that's where the Platinum Evoke was given away.
Wait,
Didn't
that
they-
was
isn't
for
that
a
where they
Toonami
showed-
thing?
Yeah, that was for Toonami.
Was it Toonami where they showed the extended ending, or was that somewhere else?
That was
Wait,
Toonami.
there was an extended ending?
Well, there was an
Yeah,
extended ending for Mask of Light that advertised Legends of Metro Nui.
Oh,
Really
okay, that's why I
Explained a
never
little
seen
bit
it.
of the plot. Like
It is
going-
new dialogue from Vakama, though,
Yeah,
if you haven't heard it.
that is. A
But
I
thing.
that's
have not heard about it like whatsoever.
No,
Yeah,
that
look
was
up
a thing.
Toonami extended ending for the Bionicle
And it's
movies,
not.
and it's like
it's not
it just
anything too new. Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty cool, but it's more of a novelty than anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what?
I mean, if we
I
can
don't
get
guess like-
creative, if we can get Creative Capers back to do Bionicle 2006, 2007, 2008, like I would be totally cool with helping that out. Like
The idea of
reps.
when I talked to them, they at least made it clear that the possibility of another Bionicle movie is not completely dead in the water. It is incredibly unlikely. However,
Well, maybe, like,
they
if-
showed. Well, they have an interest in the IP personally,
Yeah.
outside of because they're a creative team. They've done a ton of stuff. If you go to their YouTube channel, there's a reason that Rudaka is on their little banner. They have a love for all the things that they make, and Bionicle especially. And they didn't even know. They literally didn't know about how big the Bionicle fandom was until this year. And I think of all the things that we can say COVID gave us, one of the good things is COVID made fucking the Shakespeares aware of the Bionicle fandom, and Nathan First aware of the Bionicle
Definitely.
fandom.
I also think the 20th anniversary of the
Yeah,
line
that-
in
that too.
general also definitely
Yeah.
helped.
It's been reviving interest, and maybe we should at least consider the possibility of a Kickstarter for Bionicle 4.
Yeah, that was
Almost like-
actually
Let's
what
get
I
it
was gonna
started.
say.
Chat,
Let's
get
do
it
it.
started.
Wait, something I was gonna say was, since
Kickstarter.
Lego is most likely not gonna do a lot of Bionicle stuff past like this 90th anniversary set, if it were to happen, something that we could do is we could just sort of say, hey, Lego, we are going to, the people who made the other Bionicle movies, they were going to do this thing, not for profit, just entirely on our own. Could we do it like through a Kickstarter? Could you just give us the the ability to use the IP?
Technically, could we use the Apple program on Fricklink?
No, I mean
So,
look,
look.
for legality's sake.
Lego has had a history of basically a silent policy of as long as you don't misrepresent our brand, we will quietly say nothing. So it's not technically legal for us to have, you know, all of this, like a lot of the stop motion stuff, like it's ambiguous. A lot of the Lego stuff, it's ambiguous whether or not it's been fair use or not. But Lego's not really taking a lot of people to court, and
I think
they don't care.
They don't care as long as you're. If you make a video and you're like you got Lego figurines saluting Hitler and stuff, maybe you get some in trouble. But as long as if you're making a Bionicle movie,
no, that's probably happened more than a few times with someone animating Lego Hitler.
I mean, that one guy who made the Lego Auschwitz.
Like I don't know if the guy who did the Lego World War II battles. I doubt that even he's gotten in trouble.
No, yeah,
you haven't seen those, by the way.
They like seeing that stuff.
I mean, to be honest, it's all free marketing. You know, just say, you know, don't say anything. You just let people buy your stuff.
Let me put it this way: Lego is absolutely aware of the team making the Bionicle Quest for Matt Nui game. They've talked with them.
Oh,
so
definitely.
If they are aware of them, they're absolutely aware of smaller teams.
They were able to connect. They were able to connect with the original voice actor from the commercials.
Yeah, Tony.
How the hell do you do that? Like that's.
I was trying. We were trying on Twitter for Project Ignition 3, but we couldn't get a hold of him. And they probably because they'd already snagged him.
Yeah.
But
that's wild. Oh.
And how's Ignition 3 going?
Tony Wedgwood, that's his name.
Lego would only really have a problem if, like, let's say somehow we kickstarted it, got the movie to be made, paid all the people at Creative Capers the same amount that like Lego did, if not even more. Maybe like back when they made the originals, it would be like if we were distributing it and like making a profit.
Yeah, if there's money involved, that's when they're gonna care. That's why like creative or what did I say? Kickstarter is maybe the wrong thing. What we want is that what's the thing where you do the signatures? We want to show that there's so maybe GoFundMe or whatever it is, like where we show that there's support for the idea. And if we can get enough support for the idea and show that to Creative Capers, maybe they can pitch something to Lego. That's I think that
Lego. I don't think
as unlikely it is.
No, I don't.
Well, that's the only. I think the only avenue though, because I don't think Creative Capers has any rights. They don't retain any rights, so they wouldn't. Even if they wanted to, they would have to go through Lego.
I just don't think Lego would be interested at all in anything Bionicle unless they saw like.
All they would need is the permission of Lego, though.
Interest.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about
if
before.
The only likely scenario for this to ever actually happen is if, say, we got a petition, we sent it over to Creative Capers to show the interest. They say, okay, we're going to say something to Lego. They say, Lego, could we make Bionicle 4? And Lego says, as long as we're not involved and you just want to do it, we don't have any, and we don't have to pay anything, and you pay us most of the profits, okay. But the odds of all of that happening and Creative Capers being okay with basically all the profits going to Lego.
Don't do that. Don't give me hope.
Exactly.
I mean, at the same time, another thing that they could do is they could do like a Patreon thing for the animator, for like the animation team, is like separate from this, and then
I think the only other way is pro bono.
And it's
because I don't think Lego would care.
What are
because the thing was
they're doing Creative Capers is not doing like they're doing stuff, but they're pretty much just doing like small like animations for like Disney and stuff from what I've seen and like
yeah, they work with Disney mostly as far as I know.
Well, actually, that's good because Disney and Lego have a very good relationship.
Wasn't Creative Capers with Miramax?
That's
they were.
Miramax was like the distributor of the DVD, basically.
Yeah, because
Miramax
got put out by Disney.
Yeah, this is true, but yeah. I remember like that's also a nostalgic thing, like seeing, because like I never seen like Miramax logos, but when I watched Mask of Light, 200 times on VHS as a kid, wherever I went, wherever I was. Whoever family house I was at, and like they were like play with the other kids, I'd go in the other room and toss on the movie. Seeing that opening logo of Miramax with like the drums in the background, like I now after that going forward, every other film I've seen like in film school or whatever, or like after that my friends like that are like normal movies by Miramax, I always think of Bionicle when I see the Miramax logo. Like,
for me,
it's just ingrained in my head.
I think I have the Miramax release of Godzilla vs. Biolante.
I mean, Miramax, they've done a bunch of stuff.
I got that at, like, a Tractor Supply, if you know what those are.
If people want to actually fantasize about the real possibility of a Bionicle 4, I think there's only two ways. There's the way that I outlined, and then there's a combination of that and excessive pro bono voluntarism.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
Oh,
this is the other thing I'm thinking. Who is the biggest name in Bionicle community to this day? I think
I don't know.
LJ.
it's hard to say.
Okay.
But what's about
But
big name or big money? I have no idea who has big money.
if say whoever the biggest name is in Bionicle, several of them. Let's say like 4 of big Bionicle people with several thousand subscribers, big influence to this day. I don't even know if that exists, but if say that those people messaged professionally the Creative Capers team and said, "What if we could show the support exists? Would you be interested?" That is like the only way.
It'd be so.
Or maybe
hard to
actually,
get that.
technically, what if we did it? Because we're working on a Bionicle.
Well, like I
animation
said,
of our own, and
pro
many people
bono
are-
voluntarism. We would
Yeah.
need to tell them that, okay, we have a bunch of people who would be willing to help without being paid. But here's the problem. As soon as a single penny is involved, anybody who is paid or not paid will also need to be notified, and like their legal names will need to be included in the project. So anybody will need to be, their people will need to dox themselves, and lots of people are not comfortable with showing their faces or saying their names.
Yeah.
And that it doesn't matter how small. If say Creative Capers decided to release an official product and that they're going to have lists on public places and sell in public places, everybody who's involved and needs to be credited is going to have like you. They're not going to credit you as TopengProductions.
Yeah.
They're
They
going to
can't.
credit you under your legal name.
No,
They have
to.
Yeah.
But
I mean, like, that's true. But like for certain people, like if there's enough animators, if you have like 7 of them and one of them is
Topeng,
like, they're
if
just their
if you went to Creative Capers yourself and you let's imagine this whole scenario played out and you were on the roster of people they were going to have hired to do pro bono work, okay? And you pro bono work for them and you animate Bionicle 4. Bionicle 4 comes out, 10 years have passed, okay? Bionicle 4 was actually successful, made quite a lot of money, and you're sitting there in your apartment like, where the fuck are my royalties? I never actually signed a contract. I have a case. Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's their problem.
That's why.
You know what? I have another
my
question.
thing. That wasn't the argument I was gonna make. The argument I was gonna make is like if enough people, like are animating, and they're all using their legal names on the thing, and say, I'm not. Actually, never mind.
We could talk about it all the live long day, but
Yeah.
it's obviously something long term.
Look, it's not
Personally, I would
impossible,
be
but it
fine
is
with-
highly improbable.
Personally, I would be fine with putting my legal name on one of these.
You know what?
Most of us are.
A lot of people
Lots of us would, but lots wouldn't.
You know what?
Yeah. Well, I
one
mean,
chat
the people
members,
who wouldn't are what probably
Let
wouldn't
let
do
Yoshi
this
go.
in the
Yoshi's
first
been
place.
waiting to say something. Go ahead.
I just noticed one chat member. Pretty much right. Lego is kind of Nintendo. At least I believe they are the Nintendo of the toy industry at this point.
It's pretty good app. It's pretty apt, yeah.
I mean, I've been saying that for about a couple months now. I don't know. I guess Bionicle is Metroid, Star Fox, F-Zero. The list goes on.
I would
except
have
for my-
to say, I would have to say the opposite. I'd have to say Lego is the Sega instead of the Nintendo.
No,
Lego's
Lego's too
like
successful to be the Sega of the
huge.
video of the.
No,
Yeah,
no, not
Sega
saying that they
has
aren't
Mario
successful.
sets.
What I mean is in
Lego
like
works with
the
Nintendo.
in the aspect. I mean in the aspect of like
Wait, they work with both Sega and
communicating with the
Nintendo.
community and like how they deal with their community.
Okay.
Because like
Maybe.
because they like for the most part leave people alone if they're doing just random Bionicle or
I think
Lego
that
products
maybe,
in
but I
general.
think that Sega's probably like
sometimes
that
they-
because they have to be like that because
And
Sega.
sometimes another thing that Lego and Sega have in common is that like
Purple Boy.
they bring people
Purple
on
Boy's here.
who are just like people from the community if their work is good enough to do stuff
Yeah.
like with Lego ideas, for instance.
I just think it's so cool that Creative Capers is who they are and that they're willing to be admit they like the movies they made and everything.
Honestly, because
So
if
cool.
people don't know, it's a married couple team
Yeah.
that made the movies, and they are like, I've never seen a pair of directors. They obviously, this isn't a slight at them, but they're obviously operating at a level below the Hollywood big picture in terms of their movies they direct. But I think that actually works in the benefit of the fact that it's like how there's more passion in the indie music scene, generally speaking. I could feel the passion from these people. They enjoy what they do. They love showing other people what they've done, and they love, giving people the joy of experiencing, art that changed them. When they love to hear people. Everybody as an artist wants validation, and I can speak as an artist. Everybody loves validation, and
as far as knowing and having gone to school with David Molina's son, their whole relationship and everything I've seen, they all just seem like a really cool.
Just great people, really, really cool people. They're not sleazy, they're not super greedy. They just love the thing that they do.
Now I got another question. What if they were the people that made the Mario Brothers movie instead?
So wait, is that true? Has the Mario Brothers movie been greenlit? Because I heard there was a new one that has been greenlit.
Yes, it has.
I know
that's happening.
Hasn't a Mario movie?
Yes,
been
we're not talking about Bob Hoskins. We're not talking about the Bob Hoskins.
I was talking about that one because that was made by a couple too, and
Baraka.
Oh, that was a nightmare. Yeah, that couple. Those two were terrible. The story about
the creator.
The Mario movie's production was one of the. I think it's Bob Hoskins said it was the worst movie he ever worked on. The Mario movie.
Both him and John Leguizamo have also said that.
Terrible.
Yeah, John Leguizamo said that too. I think. Yeah.
Everyone said that was the worst movie. They would never do it again.
Nutty.
There was times when this cast wanted water, and literally the directors wouldn't give the cast water.
Yeah, so they drank.
Why? That's stupid. That's like The Room.
Yeah,
and they would film in this super hot area, so it was even worse. Oh,
they filmed in a.
That's just basically The Room. That's literally the production of The Room.
Factory.
It would be interesting. I think the story that I've heard, the stories I've heard of the production of the Mario movie would make for a good documentary, similar to how The Room made for a good documentary style story with.
I would love
James
to see
Franco
the part where
movie.
the person the director just pours piping hot coffee on a person.
Yeah, that's man.
Coffee.
He poured hot coffee all over me.
Let's take a moment from the chat. Does anyone have a conversation starter or a question or anything they've ever thought? I think we have 16 people right now in the chat.
Yeah.
What time is it? 6:30. All right, it's still pretty early. This has been pretty nutty conversation so far. Honestly, a lot of my mind being blown. DXL
Here's
Poet
one.
says
Good to get some
directors
younger
got
input, I guess.
blacklisted. They haven't made a movie since. Yeah. No, there was.
They got canceled.
Purple Boy said, "I've come to realize that yo is the only acceptable greeting for biotards like us."
Yo.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yo,
Arakip.
Baraka.
Yeah,
I
the
just
people
say
who did the
yo
Mario movie
and
were
it's not
blacklisted,
and it's not connected to Bionicle, and now I can only think about Bionicle now that whenever I say yo to someone to introduce.
Actually,
say
yes,
hi.
Purple
Any of
Boy.
you wrote
Read
Any
Geo's
of you wrote any
fanfic.
Bionicle
Actually,
fanfic?
Geo, let me plug you so you don't plug yourself. It looks less flamboyant that way.
Less pretentious.
Yeah, there you go. CaptainGeo actually has a very, very good story. What he does is he actually has a soundtrack to it, so it's written like a
it's really
screenplay,
cool.
And there's music cues, and you play this track as the scene starts. And honestly, he freaks me out sometimes. He does an incredible job because he'll line up the scenes sometimes. It's not always perfect, but a lot of times it'll be play this track, starts playing, I start reading, and then the track ends right as the scene ends, or as the music gets intense, the scene gets intense, and I'm like, what the hell? This is crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty.
But
good.
definitely check it out. If Zach's cool with it, maybe we can put a link in the description. It's
Links
called
in the
Darkness
description
Falls.
below.
Links
I'll
down in
give
the
it a
doobly doo.
Yeah,
Links down in the description to my
It's down
Patreon,
in the-
my Twitter,
I haven't
to my
finished
down in the
MySpace
DVD.
I
page.
agree. I haven't finished it, but I agree. It's pretty nuts. It's a cool idea. I mean, I've worked with tons of screenwriters that do a lot of the same stuff. It's kind of a good way to. I mean, it's a great way to kind of give people an idea of what you're going for when they're reading, to also know kind of the emotional feelings that they should be feeling, the things they'd be hearing while it's going on.
I'm not much of a fanfic writer myself, but I do find that fanfic is a very good avenue, it seems, from what I've read, for a lot of writers and creative types to get into that kind of stuff in general. because it allows them. They already have a framework for what kind of story they want to tell. And then now I'm not saying every
Not
fanfic
only
writer
that, but they
is
also
a
have
great
like
writer,
an
but
audience to appeal
Well, the
to
number
already.
one rule about like writing to begin with is write what you know, write what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Write what you know and what you know. It's like it'd be hard
Oh
to
man,
start
tell me
writing
about
just
it.
about.
And
some...
like with my fanfic personally, like I'm a big fan of horror writings. So like I loved Stephen King, H.P. Lovecraft,
Nice.
and the works, right? So I tried to gather that into my fan fiction. That's basically become because like you know how Greg was kind of dabbling with body horror in 2008.
Yeah.
yeah, with Trem
it's,
Crom, yeah.
Oh my
With Tren
God.
Crom and Icarax devolving
What's
and
he doing now?
changing back into an organic life form, being crushed to death in his own armor.
Yeah, I like the
Did you like
Eldritch
one organic
thing in
life form?
episode 3, the
Oh, yeah.
plane of destruction.
I have a character in Darkness Falls. His mask power is to create like little visions. It's kind of like Karzani's mask power, but it's different.
Karzani with more Lovecraft.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? I know exactly how that is because I've been working on a Transformers kind of stop motion thing. I have like a couple episodes done. Been taking a lot of influences from a lot of JRPGs because that just happens to be where I draw a lot of influence from.
And ever since watching like some of the newer horror movies that came out these last few years, like if you haven't gotten a chance to yet, please watch The Color Out of Space. It is fantastic. And Nicolas Cage's performance is fantastic. I cannot wait for the Dunwich Horror, like at all. I cannot wait for that friggin' movie, man. The people behind those movies, they need to get they need to get back to it. Now that the pandemic is basically over, they can get back into it.
E Chang says gathered friends is the ultimate greeting. It's pretty good. Purple Boy
Yeah, that's
says,
true. Pretty
dope.
any of you wrote any Bionicle fanfic? I actually wrote
We were
two.
just talking about it.
I wrote
Yeah.
a fanfic when I was in like fourth or fifth grade that was just like from Tahu's perspective, like waking up on the island and walking around. And then I wrote another back when I was starting YouTube in like 2008, all about Takanuva, and it's like he goes off to this to another dimension and on this like version of an island where like the Borak swarms have taken over and everything, and he gets into like this like helicopter like sort of vehicle, and I don't know, I just remember writing that and I have no idea where it would be now. It was on like some sort of blog website that I was using at the time.
Man, you know what? That reminds me. I always wanted to do like a kind of documentary styled nature documentary styled series about Rahi.
That's something I was thinking of doing for like one of my mock things. Was like a nature style documentary, like a little stop motion to.
Like I was
talk
thinking about doing like a full 6-episode series, like Walking with Dinosaurs. I know I was gonna call it Walking with Rahi. That's still on the table.
I would watch
What
that.
And
would
it's like
Tren Crom
cause-
set look like in the terms of parts?
Have they not made one?
Just dump a bunch of red parts on the floor.
You know what?
Dump a bunch
I
of
think
red parts on the
CCBS
floor.
would be the best thing to use for Tren Crom.
Just
Yeah,
a
because
club.
like, if you see pictures of what Tren Crom looks like, he looks a lot like Yog-Sothoth from the Dunwich.
He
Horror.
does. He definitely has Eldritch God vibes. Yog-Sothoth.
I
especially,
mean,
yeah.
I think CCBS is such a contrasting thing. It would make him look great.
Personally, I'm glad that they never made a set of Trem Crom because I think there's a reason that all of the depictions of Yog-Sothoth or Cthulhu or anything like that are ambiguous and not by Lovecraft. All the pictures you see of that, none of that is from Lovecraft. That's other people.
Yeah.
And
Well, they were
similarly, I like it being
People
ambiguous. Is what I'm
made
saying.
those pictures.
Well, that's one thing.
Other people made those pictures from the descriptions that he gave. And
Yeah,
I
but he
think
never
the only-
painted a picture.
The
then,
only
well,
like
yeah.
the only like picture that H.P. Lovecraft made of Cthulhu was the little like idol that the cultists did. That's the only picture that Lovecraft actually drew for a book like that.
And I think it serves the story, like in Lovecraft's case, it serves it better because it remains more ambiguous. And again, like we were saying with Bionicle, a mystery. So I think, especially for a character like Trem Crom, I wouldn't
You know
want.
what?
I'm glad they never showed us him
For
explicitly.
anyone in the chat
I wouldn't
that's
want them
wondering
to.
what Tren Crom looks like, these are like a lot of the ideas that have like surfaced on the internet.
They never showed what Trencrom looked like specifically, but there's a lot of Lovecraftian vibes that we get out of it, you know?
This
man,
cool.
I was about to say, what was it?
Yo,
look at
this.
that.
I was about to say he was the Greg created character, but then I remembered the mod Nui online game existed.
Yo, guys,
He's
it's Trencrom.
Oh my god, it's just a tractor.
I found Trencrom. Some of these are nuts. This is crazy. That's pretty good.
Oh, that was on this a while ago.
That one's pretty cool.
It's literally Cthulhu. Trencrom, man.
Well, there's a difference.
There's a difference, but
Like,
it definitely
like
takes...
Cthulhu is a big like squid dragon thing, and Trencrom is just like a mass of like a central ball and like tentacles just spewing out of him. And if you look at him for too long, you go insane. That sounds a lot like something Lovecraft would do.
Right.
Because he did do that.
Speaking, I guess, because like Greg Farsi had a bunch of like, obviously like, he was inspired by a lot of different things. Does anybody have any idea what he's doing now? Like, is he really like retired? I know his whole thing.
I thought he was still writing Ninjago.
Yeah, I think he's still writing. Ninjago.
Oh my god! Really? Wow.
Yeah, he still works. That's why the TTV canon contests are going on, because he's the only person that can actually canonize stuff legally.
Does he still work
He
for
can't. No. My
Well,
goodness,
it's like weird.
no.
It's like weird.
There is no such thing as legal canonization, and please don't believe in such a thing.
There's there's no such thing as legal canonization.
Look, canonization, you cannot. Everybody gets their panties in a twist about canonize this, canonize that. Why don't you just believe what you think sounds cool, and that's it?
Or at least I think when it comes to the models and stuff, maybe not the other stuff, canonize this and that,
Somebody believing something contrary to something that you believe affects you in zero ways. And I'm not speaking to you specifically. I mean the general you. I'm just saying, people take it. I'll never be able to relate to people that have an issue with somebody else having a separate headcanon. It's like, it's a thing. Whole deal with it.
Everyone views each story in a different way.
Exactly. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
What if Trencrom looked like that villain from Ben 10? You mean Vilgax?
Vilgax?
Woo!
Deep cut.
That's kind of what he looked like anyway. And Vilgax also looks very Lovecraftian anyway, like when he's not in his armor.
Wow, deep cut.
But I'm talking about like OG series Ben 10, like original like 2007, Alien Force, and Ultimate Alien. Those three. And I think the fourth one.
I don't know why.
Like there were four series and then there's a
2007?
reboot. Yeah.
It's one of those things that's been around like my entire life practically.
Yeah. Like Ben 10 came out like almost 13 years ago.
Man, I remember like just watching that just because I couldn't wait for Pokemon on Boomerang when that was still a thing.
When my family were gathering with friends for New Year's to do like a bird show, there was a kid with a Ben 10 reboot Omnitrix.
So the missus is beckoning me, so I'm gonna take off, guys. But Zach, thank you for having me.
Totally.
It's been a pleasure.
Later.
No problem.
Peace.
See you later. Anyway, so there were four.
Yeah, crisped, exactly. I mean, it's like canonizing Dragon Ball G. Yeah, no, I agree. It's really hard, honestly.
At this point, I don't think they're ever. Well, GT's just not canon based on like a lot of simple facts. Like completely, if you're reading the manga right now, completely rewriting it, like everything you know about Dragon Ball. But I don't want to get into that too much.
No.
Go read the manga.
When did we get to anime from this?
We always turn back. We always get into anime. That happened the
Chris
last time.
Raptor says sequel trilogy isn't canon. No one can tell me otherwise. I'm gonna assume he's talking about Star Wars.
No, he has to be talking.
I agree.
About Star Wars.
Yeah, same here. Also, Disney
agree.
legitimately like talked about not uncanonizing it, and to me, that's basically the same as them saying it's not canon, because if they even considered that, like.
Well, so here's to talk about Star Wars for a second, and I was talking about it with my friend Thrawn's Terminal, or Thrawn's Revenge on Instagram, that was on my live stream earlier today. essentially, like, it's looking as if they're kind of doing alternate universe going forward, especially with a lot of like the TV stuff, because everything happening in Jon Favreau's universe now, I guess you could call it, even though we still only have Mando.
Yeah, it's what's his name?
Pulls from Legends and it pulls from Extended Universe, and so I think in a way they're gonna like find a sort of middle ground of like going from like universe to universe. Like if you've watched Rebels, there's like the world between worlds that was introduced. That whole thing, while for a lot of like I'd say OG Star Wars fans that like grew up with the originals in theaters, will be like that's kind of too weird for Star Wars. It is technically a thing, and I think Disney.
It is canon.
To include everyone, I think that Disney's trying to essentially do this whole like almost multiverse thing with Star Wars, and fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you see it, because of like the reaction to the sequels and everything. I think even Disney themselves, you know, talk what you want about Last Jedi, they still say like they enjoy the movie, they like the movie. I think Disney does admit that they really did screw up a lot with Rise of Skywalker. There's like no question there. I feel like people that work there are literally aware of the fact like that worked in the movie.
I mean, I saw that movie. I didn't even pay for the movie, and I still felt ripped off.
I mean,
dude, I saw Rise of Skywalker in theaters. It was it was the second to last movie I saw before lockdown happened. The last movie I saw in theaters was Knives Out.
That makes sense for a lot of people, yeah. Tiberius Codius says, I've been working on an audiobook podcast, reading the Bionicle books, just finished Tales of the Mask. If you're interested, check out Reading Bionicle on any podcast platform. Dude, that would be awesome, because for me, that's the whole thing. It's like, I want to go through every single Bionicle book, but like reading because I don't have the physical books with me. They're all up back home at my mom's house. But if I had like an Audible or sort of like podcast where someone was just like, you know, going through the books, I would totally listen to that, because like I want to deep dive, since it's been so long, into like every single thing that happens to those characters, because you know it's like you can only scratch the surface.
I'm also working on like getting my fan fiction like made into an audiobook format, just so like in case people don't want to read, because it's like my fan fiction is about 70 pages long or so, and it's not even done yet. It's not even halfway done yet. It's already 70 pages long. So I was going to be working on making it an audiobook format. So in order to do that, I need voice actors. So I've been talking to people around the community, and I have gotten takers. Some roles have been getting taken up. So if you wanted to get a role, contact me through Discord.
I'll take any role, man. I'm down to do anything.
I'm down.
One of the cool things about being on Montanui Rising is that there's a lot of talented voice actors there, and I've been wanting to make a series for a while. I have like
at least some sort of a plan for what I want to do, and the thing is like half of the characters are girls, and I don't know a lot of
most people that like Bionicle.
Yo, Tiberius Codius, I found it. Reading Bionicle. That's awesome. Oh, you have.
But with Montanui Rising, there's like quite a few female voice actors.
Holy
who would be.
Whoa. That's awesome, man. I'm gonna check this out. I just subscribed. Wow, that's awesome.
Wait, what happened?
Well, just the Tiberius is saying he's doing audiobooks of all the Bionicle books. So please continue. The voices are awesome. The inflection is very compelling. Let's do it. The narrator really puts energy into giving the characters energy and tone. That sounds awesome, dude. I'm going to check this out. Wow. All right. Maybe you have filled that void that I needed. All right, guys. Hopefully I'm not cutting it too short, but I do have to go have dinner. But this has all been really great. Honestly, I like the conversations we were having today. It got really interesting. Thanks, Guinness, for having been here earlier, and Constorm tuned in, BioTubeTV, and then, of course, Yoshiedude, Topeng, and CaptainGeo. Let's plan to do another one. You know, I always try and keep in contact with the Discord. We didn't have one last week because I was quite literally, like, working on set. But I'd like to do one next week at some point, so let's keep in contact. I think Thursdays are usually pretty good as well. But thanks, everyone, for coming here. Thanks for watching. Bioscrow DXL, Purple Boy, Crips Raptor, Tiberius, CMOS, Ichang, all you guys in the chat, DXL Poet, Clips Films Melbourne, Mask Duelist. Yeah, there's a lot of, who else do we got here? Yeah, I said CMOS, everyone, you know, Mask Duelist, yeah, all you guys, Jacobi, Umarok, Aces, HQ Bacon, yeah, all you guys, thanks so much for tuning in and enjoying this, and we'll see you guys next time here on BioTalk. Peace out.
Laters.